Now, as a facilitator, there might be some times where you might have a participant who engages in disruptive behavior. And disruptive behavior is just anything that gets in the way of the group working effectively and efficiently. It can be anything from somebody who is talking for too long to someone who is argumentative or somebody who is trying to undermine another team member and what they're doing. Anything that gets in the way of true collaboration and moving forward with the purpose of the meeting. There are plenty of different ways that you can engage with this person. It is always best to address it as soon as possible, as soon as it starts to arise, instead of ignoring it because it won't go away. It'll more than likely only get worse. And there are some more resources on our Notion page that go over this. However, one of the strategies that you can use is to think of it as providing somebody 3 strikes. So 3 strikes would involve you providing a gentle reminder or maybe an indirect prompt towards the ground rules and expectations that you've laid down. If somebody is perhaps talking too long or saying something that is inappropriate or cross-talking, so they're talking when other team members are talking, maybe you address the entire group and remind them of the ground rules. So you're not directly calling that person out, but you are making it clear that that behavior is not appropriate. If the behavior continues, then you want to consider directly addressing that person. Now, when you do this, it's always best to do it in private. So during a break during the meeting, if you can wait until after the meeting to address it, that always tends to go over better and is less likely to put the person on the defense. However, sometimes that's not an option and you have to address it in the moment. If you do directly address disruptive behavior, make sure that you remain respectful, that you address the behavior and not the person. So you are using descriptors about the behavior, and you're not saying that the person is disruptive, that they are a problem. It's that the behavior is the problem. But you also want to make sure that you are assertive and that you maintain control of the meeting so that the person does not get argumentative and that you can continue on with a productive meeting still, even though you're directly addressing them. And then finally, if the behavior still continues and the person is really derailing the meeting, if they become argumentative with the facilitator after being directly addressed, then you might want to consider removing them from the meeting, either briefly for a period of time or until the end of the meeting when you can address it more directly and potentially have other team members support this discussion. Hopefully, this does not happen very much. A lot of times, disruptive behavior is proactively addressed by setting those ground rules and expectations, by making sure that you are engaging in really good facilitator behavior, by actively listening and making sure that you're staying on time with the agenda, that you're hearing everybody out. Those things can typically rectify any problems that might arise because everybody's on the same page. It's important to remember that we always want to assume that everybody who's showing up to the meeting has best intentions, that they want to do the work, that they want what's best for the group. And if they do engage in disruptive behavior, that it's in a response to something that they are maybe misunderstanding or they're not in agreement with. So if we work on things proactively to make it the best environment possible for working, then we likely will not have the problems that we could have. So another important part of meetings is brainstorming. This can be brainstorming new ideas for projects, brainstorming problems or problem solving, and brainstorming can take up a lot of time in a meeting if you let it. It's very possible to only talk about 1 or 2 ideas for the entire meeting time. So it's really important for the facilitator to make sure that all ideas are heard, that we consider a wide range of ideas from everyone, but that we do it in a way that is quick and efficient. There are more strategies in our Notion page, but one of the popular ways to do quick brainstorming techniques is to use sticky notes. And you can either do this in person with actual sticky notes or use an app like Google Jamboard or Miro that has this option for people to use virtually. And what you would do is you would ask the participants to write down their thoughts and set a time limit of 5 to 10 minutes. Ask them to write down all thoughts that they have, and the goal is to produce as many ideas as possible. And then you want to then you want to vote on them afterwards. So after that time limit of brainstorming is over, then everybody will share their sticky notes either up on a whiteboard or present it to the group in Miro or in Google Jamboard where everyone can read it. And you set a time limit of 5 to 10 minutes where all of the team members will read all of the ideas and then they will vote on them. And typically a good way to vote on them is to just make a dot on the sticky note or add a sticker to the sticky note to indicate which topics they want to continue discussing. This ensures that all ideas are heard, that nothing is cut off before somebody is able to make a decision. So a lot of times it might be dependent on the person who is raising the idea that if whether or not that idea happens. This also makes sure that nobody's idea is shut down before they are heard completely with their idea. So once you have identified which ideas have the most votes, then you would spend the rest of the meeting time discussing those ideas in more depth. And this can mean that you go through a number of ideas in as short as 15 minutes, when something like that could take hours if every person presented an idea individually.